Park, we're in the upstairs conference room, and tell us about what these rooms were originally.
Well, this is our library and conference room, and my law firm uses this room in addition to Madeira's title. Also does its closings in this room, but originally there were 2 bedrooms, and each had its own door, and we were able just to remove a wall and have this continuous room that spans the length of the house.
And actually, it was in use by the Drydens in that construction as bedrooms.
Yes, as I understand it, they were renting out rooms on the 2nd floor, and they actually lived on the 1st floor when they got up in years.
And Mr. Alden Dryden, whom many of the people remember in Tahlequah, actually, the house belonged to his uncle, C.L. Dryden, and his wife, Memory, and they bought it in 1935.
That's right.
And I think it's interesting to note that he was a manager, this elderly Mr. Dryden, C.L. Dryden, was a manager of the Boston store in 1909 when he came to Tahlequah, but the Boston store was listed in 1894 directory of Tahlequah. And the Boston store was downtown in that block just across from the Capitol. And then, of course, his nephew ultimately owned the Dryden store, Alden Dryden, and was on the Board of Education and a lot of things.
I had a friend that gave to me a sign that hung out in front of the Dryden store.
We'll have to
I didn't know where it was. I'm not that old, but
no. Well, I'm not either, but we'll have to get a shot of that too.
Okay.
And I really want to go on. The Drydens were, you know, such an influential group of people in the growth of Tahlequah. And I taught with Mrs. Dryden. Mr. Dryden, in addition to being a store owner, was on the Board of Education. There were lots of contributions that they made to the community. And now I want to talk about your family and their contributions to this community. And if the people don't know, you are the grandson of Dr. P.H. Medeiros.
That's right.
And the son of Bob and Martha Medeiros. Your father served in the state legislature.
Yes.
And your mother is a beautiful woman and was the kind of a woman who was associated with everything that went on in the schools, so that was good. And now talk a little bit about your grandfather.
Well, my grandfather was born in 1887 and near Cincinnati, Arkansas, which is just across the border into Arkansas. In approximately 1914, he and his oldest brother moved to France, where he studied medicine at the Sorbonne and learned to speak French.
Yes.
And he returned and finished his medical school training at the University of Louisville and graduated there in 1916. While he was there in Louisville, he had a mutual friend that said, "Hey, I've got a sister who's studying French. I'd like you to come to Sunday dinner." And so he did, and he spoke the French that the Parisians speak, and she spoke the textbook French, but somehow or the other they were able to understand each other. And in 1919, he came here to Tahlequah, and then shortly after that was married, and then he ended up having to cut his honeymoon short because of the terrible tornado that they had at Pegs, and he was
1920.
called into service to take care of the injured and the dying. And so he started his practice here in Tahlequah in 1919.
Well, and he told me, I loved your grandparents. Your grandfather would let patients come to the house after hours if they were ill, and your grandmother was always very gracious about that. And he told me in the occasion of that terrible tornado at Pegs that he and all the doctors in the area were there on site working with those injured people, and he said that they didn't have their clothes off nor sleep for 2 or 3 days because
I'm not surprised. But he maintained his medical office above where Meg's Jewelry is now for 60 years, and I remember spending the summer of 1979 cleaning out 60 years worth of accumulations that he had, including fox hunting magazines that went back to the 1930s and all kinds of archaic medical instruments and such. So,
Park Hines Medeiros, Dr. Park Hines Medeiros, what is the connection with the Hines family?
Well, my father and Bill Hines are the offspring of first cousins.
All right.
So I guess it would have been my great-grandmother was a Hines.
Your great-grandmother was a Hines.
Yes.
All right. That accounts for your name.
Yes. And my name is Robert Park Medeiros Jr., and that's obviously the same as my dad, and then my son is Robert Park III.
Right, and the Park came from Dr. Medeiros,
Yes.
and the Hines came from his
That's right.
ancestry. That is very neat. That is very
It would have been my grandfather's mother's maiden name.
right. Thank you, Park Medeiros, so much for letting us video your offices. And now, tell us the address again so we'll know something about.
We're located at 226 West Choctaw, which is the corner of Choctaw and Cherokee. We're a block south of the courthouse.
And you are a law firm and a title company.
Yes, we operate the law firm on the first floor, and we do the title company on the second floor.
And I just can't resist saying that you were one of my students and a very bright one.
Thank you very much.
Well, it's been a pleasure to have you.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure to have